Hey K-Poppers, and welcome back to Hallyu. With 2021 fast approaching, we're going to take a look at the big four labels in K-pop and talk about what they need to do to stay relevant and to succeed next year. We'll start by setting the stage for where K-pop has gone in 2020, then we'll look at each label individually. First, we'll look at Big Hit Entertainment, then JYP Entertainment, then SM Entertainment, and we'll round out our discussion with YG Entertainment. Before we get started, a quick thank you to Hallyu's honorary producers. If you want to be on this list and show off your bias group to everyone watching, you can support my work on Patreon. Patrons also have a say in lots of videos before they're released, so if you want to leave your mark on Hallyu, come join us over on Patreon. So let's figure out how these labels can have an awesome 2021. It's a really interesting time in the K-pop world, and the so-called Big Four labels of Big Hit, SM, JYP, and YG are bigger than ever. 2020 has shown that nothing can stop them from having their artists release fantastic albums, and they all continue to raise the bar when it comes to music videos too. I think we can all agree that across the board, the cinematography, the direction, and practically every other aspect of these productions has been elevated this year. But in recent years, and especially this year, it really feels like these four different labels have developed their own identities, and because of that, they each have a different path to success in 2021. So let's talk about what that path might look like for each of the big four and see if we can glean anything about what K-pop might look like next year as a result. We're going to be talking more about the business side of things a bit more than usual in this video, but at the end of the day, that's what informs the decisions that they make about groups and idols, so it's actually quite important in the grand scheme of things. Let's start with Big Hit, who have under their management BTS, Tomorrow by Together, GFriend, 17, and NU'EST, among other artists. It's no secret at this point that BTS pretty much just rule the world, and Big Hit has benefited tremendously from BTS's massive, sustained global success. The trick for Big Hit is making sure that they're ready for the day when BTS can't perform as a full group, and that's what they need to focus on in 2021. Obviously, the big obstacle is that BTS are coming up on their military service windows, and so the group won't be complete for a while as each member completes their military service. So Big Hit needs to diversify. They need to be able to be successful without BTS, and actually we've seen them start doing this already. In the past 2 years, they've acquired 3 agencies: Source Music, Pledis Entertainment, and KOZ Entertainment. They've also built the Weverse platform, which has more and more artists joining by the week it seems, and this will definitely help them out too. But for 2021, Big Hit needs to keep their focus locked on that expansion and take it to the next level, as they have so much momentum right now. I'd like to see them acquire at least one more moderately sized label next year, and to continue to find more ways to involve artists across the industry from other labels like they have with Weverse. Next, let's take a look at JYP, whose artist roster includes Twice, Stray Kids, GOT7, ITZY, Day6, and now Nitsu. JYP has done a really fantastic job building a rock-solid roster of artists lately, and in fact, if you look at their sales numbers from 2019, you can see that they have a really even mix between several artists. That is a really good thing for the company. They've built an incredibly solid foundation, and now in 2021, they just need to focus on maintaining each group's trajectory and their popularity. I think ITZY could benefit the most from this. They're already quite successful, but I think they have the potential to become maybe even as big as Twice down the road with enough support for regular comebacks from JYP. They have so much potential that can absolutely be realized next year if JYP plays their cards right. To be honest though, I think JYP's ace in the hole, their secret weapon, is Nitsu. Their pre-debut song Make You Happy already has well over 175 million views on YouTube, and their debut Step in a Step is also seeing huge success. With IZ*ONE's contract set to expire in April of 2021, the Japanese market is going to have a void left in it, and if promoted well, Nitsu could very well take over right where IZ*ONE left off and become huge superstars. So, if JYP can continue the pace that they've set for their current groups and promote Nitsu well in Japan, they're destined for a massive year of success. Alright, now let's talk about SM Entertainment and their groups, which include aespa, EXO, Girls' Generation, NCT, Red Velvet, and SHINee, among others. To me, the theme for SM's 2021 has to be reset. SM has had a tumultuous 2020 to say the least, with Wendy being sidelined with a horrific injury, the Irene controversy, the Chen Yeol scandal that happened just after that, and of course just recently the aespa debut's plagiarism allegations. It's been a rough end to the year for SM. They need to start 2021 by stepping back for a second, taking a deep breath, relaxing, and starting back up fresh. And once they've done that and stabilized, there's a few things that they should do to make sure they have a great 2021 as well. First off, they need to have a successful full group comeback for Red Velvet. I think they actually did a great job finding ways to keep Red Velvet relevant throughout the year 2020 with the Irene and Solgi subunit, Yeri's Room, and some other promotions. But they really need to re-establish the girls back in the rightful place as a top-tier girl group. Another year without strong Red Velvet promotions could make it impossible to recover the hype that they once had around the group. The next thing they need to do is really carefully listen to fans when it comes to aespa. This brand new group is very experimental. Some things are going to click and some are not going to work for fans. So SM needs to be laser focused on what parts they should keep over time and which they should drop so that they make sure aespa becomes a popular girl group in the future. And lastly, SM needs to be careful not to overcommit on NCT. As we found out recently, SM has huge plans across the entire world for new NCT units, but they need to be careful not to spread themselves too thin. I could see a worst case scenario where SM spends lots of money, time, and resources trying to get a global NCT conglomerate off the ground and end up neglecting Korean fans and their other Korea-focused groups. So they need to make sure that they're balanced and careful not to ignore what made them successful in the first place. Really, for SM, 2021 boils down to taking a breather, thinking things through before acting, and getting back to the basics. Lastly, let's talk about YG Entertainment, who are home to Blackpink, iKON, Winner, Treasure, and others. I think YG has one of the higher potentials for 2021, but I feel like that probably isn't news to a lot of people. They are experts at making groups extremely popular around the world, with Blackpink being the biggest example of that. The problem for YG has always been that they have this baffling habit of abandoning their artists once they become megastars. This goes all the way back to 2NE1, when one scandal was enough for YG to essentially dungeon one of the best-selling girl groups of all time. And unfortunately, it has happened since. I've already talked before about how Winner has had several long hiatuses despite massive success. And for iKON, they had a repackaged album with one new song in 2019 and a mini album in February 2020. So in the last 2 years, iKON has released 6 new songs total. That's it. And even Blackpink has been historically looked at as a group who, despite their monstrous success, has a pretty small discography. So in 2021, YG needs to commit to their artists and not squander the success that they've built with them. They need to take a page out of JYP's book and learn how to have consistent releases and comebacks for all their artists. They've gotten their artists into the global spotlight. That should be the hard part, and now they need to keep them there. If the past is any indication, YG's tendency for next year will be to promote their new boy group Treasure like crazy with several new comebacks and focus too much of their time and energy solely on them, ignoring their other artists. It seems like a no-brainer to all of us that Blackpink should have regular comebacks with new music. But YG has a track record of not doing that, so they need to overcome that bad habit this coming year. And if they do, they'll reap huge benefits in the form of an undisputed #1 global girl group and several superstar boy groups to their name. Alright guys, those are my thoughts on what each of the big 4 labels needs to do in 2021. Do you agree? What label do you think has the easiest path to success next year? I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. And if you did enjoy this video, make sure you subscribe because there's a new story to discover and lots of K-pop news every single week right here at Hallyu. This has been Deep Dive number 32, the Big 4 in 2021.